Based on the free Gibbs energy equation, we see that there is one important component that we haven't really covered, and that would be T, or the temperature. We can't neglect this T because it's part of the free energy equation. So although delta G, or the spontaneity, has a lot to do with the entropy and the enthalpy, we need to incorporate the temperature as well. So again, to reiterate, the spontaneous reaction not only depends on the delta H and delta S, but also on the temperature. And that temperature will be Kelvin. And that temperature also will always be positive. You can't have a negative Kelvin because absolute zero, or 0 Kelvin, is the lowest state for all of these molecules. Knowing these components, I came up with a chart where it kind of organizes spontaneity depending on what that temperature might look like. Let's look at scenario A. Scenario A, we have one large molecule spreading out into 3 different molecules, and then you also release heat. Knowing that you release heat, delta H, it would be an exothermic process, or it would have a negative value. Delta S, on the other hand, would have a positive value, and that is because it's going into more of a disordered state. You get 1 molecule, now you have 3 different molecules. I know this is just a very oversimplified drawing, but just take it as it is. Well, then what about delta G? What sign would delta G be? And what temperature? Well, we know that temperature always has to be positive. Having a negative delta H, having a positive delta S, no matter what the temperature might be, could be 3, 4, 5,000, even a 0, you'll end up with a negative delta G at all temperature. What does this mean? This means that this is always going to be a spontaneous process. And that makes sense. Where heat is being released, you don't need to add any heat. Also, things are going in a disordered state. So at all temperature, it's going to be spontaneous. I want you to take a look at scenario C and D and think about it for a moment and see if you're able to fill this portion in, and also its spontaneity. Pause and come back and check. So let's take scenario B and scenario C. So in scenario B, you can see the entropy decreasing because you're getting 2 different molecules and combining into 1. You're going in a more of an ordered state, so hence delta S is negative. It's also releasing heat, so it's an exothermic process, is negative. This is negative and this is negative. So this is negative and this is negative. So having the delta S be negative and there's a subtraction there, it will end up becoming more positive. Having this as a negative component, having this as the negative component and having this as the negative component allows this delta S to become positive since there is a subtraction. Well, now, would this be spontaneous or not? Well, it sort of depends. At very low temperature, this entire value will be a small positive. So at low temperature, this will be spontaneous. However, say that delta T, that temperature is quite high. Say if the temperature is quite high, then that means that when you multiply with its negative entropy, this becomes positive. So now this temperature is super high, then the positive on this side will be much bigger. So that positive sort of overpowers the enthalpy and causing the overall reaction to have a positive delta G or non-spontaneous. So here in these 2 scenarios, it really depends. When you have a negative entropy and a negative enthalpy, it really depends on the temperature if this reaction will go or not. Let's look at another scenario, and we'll do one together and then you do the rest too. So at if you look at this, you notice the entropy is decreasing. So that is negative since 2 molecules becoming 1. And whereas delta H is also endothermic, it's not giving off heat, but it's adding heat inside. In this scenario, think about for a moment of this equation. So I'm going to erase this. So delta H is going to be positive. This portion, since this is a negative value, this is also going to be positive. So at no matter what temperature, at all temperature, the value of delta G will be positive, so therefore it'll be non-spontaneous. Maybe you might need a couple reaction to go get this thing going, but it's non-spontaneous. Let's look at the next scenario. Okay, what about at this scenario? One is at high heat and one is at low temperature. High temperature and low temperature. Try to come up with the rest of here to fill out what the delta G might be. So coming back, let's do the first one. The first one, we can see that the entropy has increased since it's going into individual values or they're becoming more disordered. Now it's adding heat, so therefore it is a positive delta S. At a very high heat, okay, at a very high temperature, we're going to go ahead and look at this equation. What happens to delta G? The temperature, this will be always positive, and it's very positive. And delta S will always be, and this scenario is positive as well. So you're going to get a minus of the positive. So you're going to get a big, if I were to put this together, you're going to get a big negative value. Whereas over here, it will be a small positive value over here. So small positive value and a big negative value since we got that negative going on. So that negative will overpower, so this will end up becoming a negative delta G spontaneous. Whereas on this scenario, right, where it has positive delta S, it also has a positive delta H, but it's at very low heat, which means that in this equation, erase this. In this equation, you will have a delta H becoming positive, and because this is a very small minus, since the temperature will be low, this positive will overpower that negative, so making that this a positive delta G, non-spontaneous process. So take this table and think about it for a moment. If you were to go back and try this out again, you can. And we're going to go move on to the learning check. In this learning check, it says the following equation describes the incomplete combustion of carbon. So here's my carbon with oxygen forming into carbon monoxide, and there's energy formed. How does spontaneity of this process depend on temperature? So think about it for a moment. You see how this is going here. We're going to determine delta H. We're going to determine the, we don't know T yet. That's what we want to talk about. And delta S. Okay. We know that delta H is negative since energy has been released. Delta S, this is solid, and here's my gas, and they're all forming into gas. And that state of matter changed from solid to gas. This allows more microstate. It's a more the increase in entropy. So entropy is positive. If you were to go back in the scenario in which the previous table where delta H is negative, delta S is positive, that scenario would be the first scenario, A. And here at all temperature, it's going to be spontaneous. So I'm going to go back. So here at all temp, the process is spontaneous. And it doesn't really matter whether it's low or high temperature, no matter what, it's spontaneous at all temperature. Let's try next one. Popular chemical hand warmers generate heat by air oxidation of iron. How does the spontaneity of this process depend on temperature? So something that I haven't put in here is, where does the heat go? So a hand warmer, so its heat is being produced. So heat is being released so that it gets onto your hand. So heat is on this side. So let's talk about delta H, T, and delta S. Well, delta H, since heat is being released, this is negative. How about delta S? Okay, so here's my solid and gas, and look at the number of molecules, 4 and 3 becoming 2, and it's becoming solid. So delta S is becoming more ordered, or so therefore this would be a negative value. So these two are negative. So let's go back to that table, negative, negative. So that would be these two scenarios, the next two scenarios, and it really depends on the temperature. So here we say at low temperature, okay, at low temperature, it's spontaneous, whereas at high temperature, it's non-spontaneous. So at low temp, spontaneous. And at high temp, at non-spontaneous. Lastly, use the standard Gibbs free energy equation, the delta G naught equals delta H naught minus T delta S naught to estimate the boiling point of water. During boiling point, the process is at equilibrium, meaning that delta G is going to equal to 0. So that's a little hint that's given on this learning check. So if you look at here, delta G is equal to delta H minus T S. We are looking for this portion when delta G is 0. So if this is 0, then we are left with this. Okay. If I'm solving for T, let's go ahead and solve for T. And we're going to take these guys, we're going to add T delta S both sides, and then we would get, this will cancel out, this will be out. So we have T delta S naught delta H, divide delta S naught both sides. So these cancel out. T is equal to delta H over delta S naught. Okay, well, we need to find the value of the delta H's and delta S's, and we know how to do that, hopefully. So delta H, you can find the summation, right, for H, and this one just has water gas, H2O gas, minus the summation of the reactant, which is H of H2O liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into the reference sheet and then plug these values in. Let's do it together. If I were to go to the reference sheet, here's my water. This is my liquid over here, negative 285.83, and then the delta H for gas is 241.82. So knowing these two values, I have written down on the side, so obviously I can't memorize, but I do want to show you. By the way, this is my delta H side, this is my delta G, and this is my entropy S. Okay, so let me go back to my slide here. And so the gas, we're going to write 1 mole since there's only one of them. And for H, it was negative 241.82 kilojoules per mole. And then subtract it with 1 mole of the liquid, which is negative 286.83 kilojoules per mole. If I were to multiply and combine everything together, then I should get 44.01 kilojoules. Well, go ahead and do it for delta S not now, and then come back and check this video. So here it is. Watch the units here. Delta S over here is joules per Kelvin. Over here is 44.01 kilojoules. And if I were to combine all of these together, you're going to have to put one of either this one in joules or this one in kilojoules. I mean, either way, it'll work out okay, but one of them needs to be in sync. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into joules. So if I were to put this into joules, this becomes 44,010 joules. Okay. Now I'm ready to put it into the Gibbs free energy equation. But I already had set it up so that T is equal to delta H is on the top, 44,010 joules all over 118.8 joules per Kelvin. And you calculate this out and you should get 370.5 Kelvin. Okay. And if you want to put this in Celsius, this will become 97.3 degrees Celsius. But either way, the Kelvin or Celsius, they would be sufficient. So that would be the saying that that's the boiling point. It's pretty close enough. The real boiling temperature is about 100 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty close, I would say.